Today I'm going to show you how to make an amazing plant-based Mapo Tofu that's just as flavorful as the original. So stick around. Welcome back to No Recipes. I'm Mark Matsumoto and I'm here to show you how to elevate your everyday meals. So I hope this video earns your subscription and perhaps your support on Patreon. I'm all about cutting back on meat when I can make a dish taste just as good without it. So when a few of you requested a vegan version of my Mapo Tofu, I started experimenting. It took me a few tries, but I've created this recipe for a mushroom Mapo Tofu that I think tastes just as good, if not better than the original. The trick is to use both fresh and dried mushrooms, which allows you to get that meaty texture and flavor for the sauce in this Sichuan classic. The mushroom medley starts with 15 grams of dried shiitakes and 50 grams of fresh shiitakes. Be sure to look for fragrant ones with nice thick caps. I also added 50 grams of maitake mushrooms, which have a wonderfully meaty flavor with tons of umami. Finally, I used 50 grams of iringi or king trumpet mushrooms. They don't have much flavor, but they have a fibrous, meaty texture that gives our mix body. Let's have a look at some of our other ingredients. For the tofu, I'm using 400 grams of soft tofu, which is sometimes labeled silken. This type of tofu is made using a different process from firm tofu, but some brands mislabel theirs, so look for one that's silky smooth and custardy. It should jiggle like a block of jello. For our aromatics, I'm using 50 grams of Welsh onions, but the white parts of scallions will work just as well. I've also got some small scallions for garnish, 20 grams of ginger, and 24 grams of garlic. Our other ingredients are 2 tablespoons vegetable oil, 1 tablespoon Shaoxing wine, 2 tablespoons doubanjiang, 9 grams tochi, 2 grams Sichuan pepper, 1 teaspoon toasted sesame oil, 1 teaspoon soy sauce, and 1 teaspoon of potato starch. Let's start by rehydrating the shiitake mushrooms. I've given them a quick rinse, and then I'm going to toss them into a heat-proof bowl with about a cup and a half of boiling water. Now we just have to let them soak for about 10 minutes. As they soak, you'll notice the water turning brown. This is the flavor from the mushrooms infusing the water, and it makes for a wonderful stock that we're gonna use for our sauce. Once the mushrooms are rehydrated and cool enough to handle, squeeze the excess water out of them and set them aside. Then you want to measure out 3/4 of a cup of shiitake stock. Be careful not to pour any of the sediment that settles to the bottom, because it can contain some grit. Now let's prep the fresh mushrooms. For the fresh shiitakes, you want to use a damp paper towel to clean the caps and gills of any foreign debris or growing medium. Then you can trim off any tough parts of the stems. I'm gonna run these through a meat grinder, so I'm just quartering them, but you can mince them up by hand as well. For the dried shiitakes, you want to trim off the whole stem and chop them up. Cultured maitakes tend to be pretty clean, so all you need to do is chop them up. Finally, we've got our iringi, which I'm gonna chop up as well. I like grinding my mushrooms up in a meat grinder, which gives them the closest texture to ground meat. If you don't have one, you can pulse them in a food processor, or just chop them up with a knife. The goal is to get the mushrooms looking something like this. Now we're gonna marinate our ground mushroom meat with the Shaoxing wine and soy sauce. Mix this together so the seasonings are evenly distributed. And then we're gonna add the potato starch and mix that together as well. Next, we want to grind up our Sichuan pepper into a powder. Be sure to remove any twigs or black seeds before you do this. I'm using a mortar and pestle today, but a spice grinder or food processor will work as well. Okay, next we've got a bit of knife work to do, so hang in there. The first thing we want to do is chop up our dochi. These are fermented black soybeans, and they have a ton of flavor, but they're also quite salty, so you want to get them chopped up fairly small. For the Welsh onion, I cut a slit down the center and then flatten it out so it makes a big sheet of onion. Then I slice this into thin strips. Now we can turn those strips 90 degrees and mince them up. For the ginger, I slice it up into thin coins against the grain. Then I line the coins up, which lets me cut them into thin sticks. Finally, I turn the sticks 90 degrees and mince them up. If you don't get them small enough in one go, you can go back over them like this. For the garlic, I like to cut thin slits into it from the tip towards the root end. Then I rotate it 90 degrees and cut thin slits in the other direction. Now we should be able to turn it 90 degrees on the other axis and mince it up. I picked these super small scallions from my garden to use as a garnish, but chives or the green parts of bigger scallions will work as well. Okay, the tofu is the last thing we need to chop, and I'm gonna cut it in half once, horizontally, and then I'm gonna cut it up into bite-sized blocks like this. Now we just need to boil the tofu to get rid of any excess liquid that can water down our sauce. I've got a pan of boiling water here, and I'm gonna add a handful of salt to it. Then I'm gonna carefully add the tofu and let it cook until it's heated through. Ideally, the tofu should be completely submerged in the water, so I probably should have added a bit more water to the pan. Once the tofu's nice and hot and the waters become cloudy, use a slotted spoon to transfer the tofu to a colander and let it drain. Okay, our prep's done, so let's make some mapo tofu. I've got my pan nice and hot over high heat, and I'm gonna add the oil, toji, and some of the ground Sichuan pepper to the pan. Sichuan pepper adds a wonderful citrus aroma and gives the mapo tofu its trademark tongue-tingling sensation, but it can be pretty potent sometimes, so I usually add half of it now and add more later if it needs it. Now I'm gonna add the doubanjiang. The hot oil is gonna vaporize some of the capsaicin, so be sure you have the ventilation going, or you're gonna feel like you got hit in the face with pepper spray. Then we're gonna add the mushrooms, garlic, ginger, and scallions. Now we're gonna stir fry this for about 4 to 5 minutes, or until the mixture has halved in volume and it's looking nice and brown. There's caramelization and Maillard browning going on here, so you want to get this mixture as brown as possible without burning it to max out its flavor and umami. I know I say this a lot, but I really wish you could catch a whiff of this right now. It smells so meaty and savory, it's making me drool uncontrollably. Okay, I think the mushrooms are good, so I'm gonna go ahead and add the shiitake stock and the tofu. Now I'm just gonna gently mix this together, but be careful because the tofu is super soft and it tends to disintegrate. If you're good at tossing things in a pan, now's the time to flex those skills, because this is a better way to mix things up without having the tofu fall apart. Once the sauce has reached your desired thickness, it's good to go. Let's get this into a plate. With creamy blocks of tofu smothered in a fragrant, spicy sauce that's brimming with umami, this mapo tofu has something to please everybody. To finish this off, I'm gonna hit this with some more ground Sichuan pepper and some scallions. And our mapo tofu is done. If you've been paying attention, you may have noticed I didn't add the toasted sesame oil. It was supposed to go in as I was tossing the tofu with the sauce, but I forgot to add it, so I'm gonna go ahead and just drizzle it on top. Although mushrooms are never gonna taste exactly like pork in the same way that beef doesn't taste like pork, I'd venture to say my ground mushrooms taste even better than meat. That's because the mushrooms I've selected have a high concentration of naturally occurring glutamates and guanylates, which trigger the umami taste receptors in your mouth. Texture-wise, the mushrooms provide varying amounts of resistance as you chew, rewarding you with a gush of flavor with each bite. Mapo tofu has always been flavorful, spicy, and comforting, but now you can add guilt-free to that list as well. It was a fun challenge veganizing this mapo tofu, so I'm hoping to feature more plant-based dishes that are just as good as this one. For For you meat lovers out there, don't worry, you're still gonna see meat and fish dishes on this channel. But if you can make a dish taste just as good while being cheaper, better for the environment, and better for you, why wouldn't you? But I wanna know what you guys think. So leave me a comment down below and let me know if you wanna see more plant-based recipes or not. You can also cast a vote for more meatless content by sending a link to this video to all of your friends who might enjoy it. Because at the end of the day, I want to make more content that you guys want to watch. If you enjoyed this video, you can thank all of my amazing patrons on Patreon who help support this channel. If you want to become a patron, hit the link up here to join the crew. Well, I'm gonna go have a big bowl of mapo tofu for lunch, but I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll catch you in the next one.
Check us out on Instagram